All right, guys, I'm going to knock out a couple right here because if you guys recall back in August, we did projects over 1.3, 4, and 5, I believe. But anyway, from what people told me, you had stuff, it appears that y'all had stuff in boxes on the framework for each of these. So I'm just going to guide you through this and we're not going to go in depth into it. Dealing with 1.3 developments in South and Southeast Asia from 1200 to 1450. Remember, as always, if we're dealing with South Asia, we're predominantly going to be dealing with the modern day country of India. Southeast Asia, talking what we commonly refer to as the Spice Islands. So looking under South and Southeast Asia, we learned objective 1. I do have something in the box under A. Now remember, one of the common themes throughout this entire unit is Hinduism, Islam, Buddhism, Christianity continue to influence these places. One specific thing that ties back into this region of the world is going to be the creation of what's called the Bhakti movement. So you need to look up what that is and be able to explain how it's going to shape societies. I don't have tons of these for the religious aspects of it, but this is one you can really hammer in on. Going on to 2, we're dealing with common themes as we go through this. Political stuff, just make sure whatever you have under each of these boxes ties back into how they develop and maintain their power. So in other words, how do they get their power? How do they maintain it? We've used that theme all year with stuff we've done in class, so be able to tie it in that way. So when dealing with South and Southeast Asia, one of the ones I believe we talked about was Siri Java and all those ones that y'all couldn't spell at the beginning of the year and probably can't spell now. But you should have a couple of examples. Just make sure you can identify it as a Hindu or Buddhist state and how it developed and maintained power. Take what you've got and apply it to those things. Moving on to 1.4, we shift over to the Americas for the same thing. We're looking at how they develop and change over time, how they develop and maintain power. So you've got the Maya, Inca, and Aztec, or as you'll see it referred to, the Mexica, do the same thing. How do they develop and maintain their power? So one of the things to key in on with the Maya is going to be that their empire is structured with city-states. With the Inca, you probably need to look up something on split inheritance, on how their power works. And then for the Aztec, we're looking at the tribute system, which is something I know we have talked about in class. But whatever else you got is going to be fine. Just make sure you have those integrated with what you have. And then moving on to Africa for 1.5, same thing. All right, we're looking at political characteristics, how they developed, how they changed, how they maintained their power, whatever it is. We're not overcomplicating this. I believe we did deal with Great Zimbabwe in class with the presentations, but I want you to kind of look at how Ethiopia plays into this and how specifically Christianity plays a role in their political structure. Structures, developments, maintaining power, whatever it is. And then also Mansa Musa, we typically look at him in the guise of one of the richest men in the world that has ever existed. But with the state of Mali, how did they politically run their empire? So short, brief, to the point, but make sure you've got a couple points there you can bring in. And then I'm going to go to a separate one with Europe, but just hammer in on those political characteristics and try to categorize it. Remember, with whatever you have, don't overdo this, but what goes to the development of it and what goes with the maintaining of the power. That's what it all boils down to. So the next one, we will roll to 1.6 in Europe.